Thank you for tuning into Your Dose podcast. This series is sponsored by the Community Foundation of Greater New Britain. CFGNB connects donors who care with causes that matter. Their mission is to inspire philanthropy, manage permanent charitable assets, and address key community issues through strategic leadership. If you're interested in sponsoring our Your Dose podcast, make sure to follow the link below.
Welcome back to Your Dose. We're the plug for all things prevention.
And today I'm your host, Israel.
And I'm the co-host, Jada.
And we have two very special guests, Anaida and Coach O, the infamous.
The infamous.
Yeah. These are two of our youth prevention leaders. These are two people who we look up to greatly. And we're just so happy that we could be on a podcast with them.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, we're excited.
Today's prescription is all things youth prevention and all things podcast related. I hope that's the right prescription. Today, we're going to start with this question. Why did youth prevention decide to make a podcast?
Do you want to go first?
Sure, I'll go first. We've been talking about better ways to get the word of prevention out to kids for a while. And then we had the opportunity to hire Anaida. And, one of her focuses and one of the reasons why we hired her is her expertise in marketing. And she has a lot of experience, and that kind of is what made her stand out from the other candidates that were applying for the prevention coordinator position. So when we got her on, it was a slam dunk. That was like our number one focus. We wanted to start, doing that because podcasting is a good way it's a newer way to get the message out to kids. Kids listen to podcasts based on their interest. And so we're like, our kids are the voice of prevention in our community. We want them to do the podcast, no adults and blah, blah, blah. So we want it to be kid run. And it just kind of took off from there. And week one, as soon as Anaida got here, she was rolling with it. And, we had ideas and topics ready to go. And we really started strong, rolling out, twice a week. We were rolling 2 podcasts out a week. So, and the kids that were on the podcast loved doing it. And then we introduced it to the rest of the Youth Prevention Council, and they wanted to get in on it. So it's just taken off from there.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a project for the summer youth employment kids. For those of you guys that don't know, we host a couple of students over the summer between 14 and 16 years old to work with us. And this is from the Summer Youth Employment Program. And basically, the first students that were on the podcast were the students that were a part of this. And then following suit, it was the Youth Prevention Council. They all kind of coincided together because some of our students are like Jada and Alex who were already here. So, yeah, it was pretty cool to kind of start that way. And then I know Daniel was one of our first ones to go on too, and we had a meeting about it in like our office, and we're like, okay, what do you guys want to learn about? What should we talk about? And who are the audiences that we want to talk to? But podcasting is also one of those ways that we can encourage kids and youth overall to engage with something that isn't visual. One of the reasons why podcasts can be successful is because you're not watching something super short, and with like TikTok and short forms media, those can be like you have to grab people's attentions really fast. With something that you have to listen to, it takes a little bit more time, and you're willing to kind of take a pause on it. So it's a cool way to engage with other people.
Yeah, I know as one of the originators of the podcast, we were definitely excited to like have this outlet to like have recorded conversations and put our voice out there. Coach O, you talked about how this was a way to promote prevention, further it, like an idea we came up with. Is there any new ideas that we're coming up with recently to get the word of prevention out there?
I think we've kind of we're using our podcast. We've kind of taken it to a different level with sponsorship. Now we're asking for sponsorship to help pay for the podcasts, and we'll start with doing little mini commercials and promoting the people that sponsor us. And I think also introducing adults in the conversation, ones that work with kids and have, something to say about kids in our community and prevention stuff, like Mr. Jones. And the New Britain Police Department are some of the adults that have been on. So I think we're taking off in that direction, and we're going to continue to. And all of our new ideas come from the kids. So it's kid led, and it's always going to remain kid led. Anaida has ideas, but her ideas, my ideas, we run it through the kids to see if it's good with them, or do they have their own ideas, and we'll run with it.
Yeah, and it kind of started off too with. So I have a schedule. I'm very type A. So I had like a full agenda of like what a year looks like in prevention. And then I don't know if you guys remember, but every month I'd be like, oh, this is the month that we kind of focus on this. But we want to keep it fresh. And like there's always things that youth want to listen to. So I think more recently, they've been, yes, those are options if there's something specific we want to focus on, if it's like mental health awareness month or pride month, like those are hot topics that are really important to talk about. But then recently, like in our last meeting with the other students that are going to be in the couple of the pods coming up, I won't say what it is to keep it secret, but they're kind of trying to become more creative with like, oh, what do I want to listen to? Like, is this an episode that I would like? And it's always the lens of like, what do you want to listen to? Because this is a podcast for people your age.
All right. Well, thanks for that, guys. Another question is, how do you guys brainstorm each of the ideas per podcast?
Yeah, we touched on it a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So usually, it comes from her brain most of the time, or the kid's brain. I just kind of make
Roll
it
with
happen. Or she makes it happen. I get kids there.
You're just there.
Yeah.
Coach O being our Uber driver.
And
on
so,
this.
and our youth leadership council, our regular meetings are on Wednesday nights, is normally the podcast night. So when Anaida usually takes the podcasters and does the podcasting here, and I run the regular meeting. So it works. It works.
Yeah. And there's so like I think when I'm thinking about the podcast that we're doing, like I watch podcasts as part of my work. So like I'll listen to podcasts that's for other people that are in high school. I'll like start asking our youth prevention council, like, what are you listening to right now? Is there anything that you like listening to? And I'll like peep at some of their content as long as it's appropriate. Sometimes we can kind of ask the questions, but I want to be mindful of the age group too. And then kind of a play-by-play is like we'll have our youth prevention council meeting. So the Wednesday before that we film, I'll say like, okay, we have a week. This is like, let's sit down, let's talk about this. What are some questions you want to ask? And then I'll kind of push some questions that might work or might not work at the input. And then we come in, then we have like, we sit down, we talk about the questions, and then it's kind of like, okay, we're here. If there's something else that you think about while we're talking, then you can open the floor up to those questions. But really the idea is like, let's keep it open to you and like what you guys want to talk about or want to listen to us talk about.
And I've gotten ideas and things from kids since I'm around kids 24/7, like listening to them on the football field at practice, in the locker room, some of the topics that they're talking about, some of the topics that teachers are talking about kids. You keep your ears open and figure out what the hot topics are. I have obviously a lot of contacts in the high school and middle schools, so I have a good idea of what the hot topics are with principals and deans and all that kind of stuff. So and I think we've done a really good job of touching on a lot of the topics to a point where it's not just kids watching our podcasts. I've had principals at the high school come up to me and say, hey, that was a great podcast last week. So their administration is watching it. Some of the teachers are watching it. And that's kind of what we want. Yes, it's geared for kids, but administrators and adults are figuring out, hey, this is what kids want to hear. This is what kids are doing. This is a topic for kids that we're working with. So it kind of helps them out also.
Yeah, it's kind of cool to get like a look into the kid's mind. Like if you're seeing us talk about how we feel maybe things are going on in our school system, or things are going on in our sports teams, or what's going on through our minds. So even though our target audience is really kind of for the youth.
Mm-hmm.
As a parent, I would be interested to see
Absolutely.
exactly what are my kids thinking, you
Yep.
know, and we're real honest on the podcast.
Yes,
So
yep.
Yeah.
yeah, we definitely have some moments where it's like,
Mhm.
what is too honest, but
Mm-hmm. And that's part of the beauty of it, because I mean that's why we want it kid-led, because you have freedom to talk about whatever you want to talk about, and you're not constricted to adults telling you, okay, this is our topic we're going to talk about. This is your podcast. So that's kind of the idea that we wanted initially.
do we have any new planned special guests coming on?
Well,
Or is that like
Is that top secret?
Yeah,
no,
top
it's
secret.
okay. It's okay. We are thinking about like what Omar said. We're looking at expanding into sponsorship. So we're also thinking of creating the podcast where if we have a local prevention council partner that really wants to highlight their work, like we'll ask if they can also sponsor part of the show to be a part of the actual segment, and then that'll highlight who they are. So we'll definitely have more LPC members joining us. And then I'd really like to make sure that we get some like maybe special guests that talk about prevention in their world or their lived experiences with substance use and misuse. So those will be kind of the topic of what they are in as well. But we really are trying to open it up. I've gotten some people reach out to me. A lot of times the ways that we get the special guests is they'll hear our podcast and be like, oh, I'd love to be on this. Omar and I actually talked about interviewing other students from other coalitions to talk about like
What are
what
they
they've
doing?
done
Yeah.
really well.
One's already
In the works.
yeah, they've sort of committed. It's just working out the kinks and details.
Yeah,
And this person we've heard this person talk, and she's very good.
Yeah, and we want to make sure that, local prevention council is local prevention council in New Britain and in other towns, and really our goal is to make sure that we're highlighting youth work. So we've talked about making sure like other councils that we've seen doing really well in other areas that maybe we don't focus on. It'd be great to get their perspective. And just a little hint, this person actually with their coalition were able to get a bill passed that made it illegal to sell a specific substance. And we just kind of want to make sure that we pick their brain about like, how did your coalition do this? Because these are youth that were leading the process, like with some of the support of the adults, but it was a youth-led program. So it's cool to get kind of input like that, so you guys can see like, oh, we can do this here in New Britain.
It's definitely inspiring.
And it's a different community, and it's good to bounce stuff off of people that live somewhere else that is totally different than New Britain.
Yep.
They have different experiences than we do.
It's like when we went to CADCA
Exactly.
and we got to talk to everybody else.
Yeah, that's the purpose of
And they were
CADCA.
like, oh, you guys have folders and socks? Like, we don't have that. And it's like, oh, like.
Yeah, because I think it's important to highlight youth and what they're doing everywhere. So we're doing a great job, but we also want to make sure that we're giving a shout out where it's deserved and where other local prevention councils are putting their best foot forward. So those will be in the works too, getting some interviews from other students.
Yeah.
That sounds exciting.
Yeah, it's definitely exciting. Yeah. How do you feel the podcast has been in effectiveness? Like, do you think it's reaching the audience well?
Like within, because it's almost the 1 year mark.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I definitely think, so always like within the 1 year, there's like we like to look at it from a marketing perspective of like, okay, are we like reaching X amount by this time? And we are at a threshold where like our content is getting there in like Facebook and Instagram with the shorts and stuff. So that's where we're seeing a lot of people interested with the short forms of them. And then I think with the long forms, we get to implement them in classes. So we are doing what we can to make sure that it's reaching the youth. There's always room for improvement. So I think when I look at it, I'm like, yes, we are doing what we want to do, but there's so much more that we can be doing in so many more areas. And Omar and I are very ambitious people. So there's never enough for us to be like, we feel good with this number. Yeah. So we look like, okay, this is good. We're doing good. So I think to start, like, this is really impactful because it's not just the students that we're looking at. I like to think of like how many impressions are we making as a whole. We've made impressions on the school board, on the adults, on other local prevention council members, Actually, next week I'm going to be presenting, and the thing I'm going to be presenting on is the podcast, because other local prevention councils see what we're doing here, and that tells me like, okay, we're not just reaching youth, but we're also reaching other coalitions, other programs, other towns.
Yep.
So holistically speaking, I think we are doing exactly what we need to be doing, and then the goal is just to make it more exciting and more accessible to youth who want to listen to the full episode.
Yep. And little story, we were at CADCA this past February, and we were in a meeting getting ready to meet our congressmen and representatives, and several people came up to us in that meeting, came up to us personally and said, "Hey, we see your podcast," and they're from like Southeast Connecticut, and then one was down near the shore or whatever, and they're like, we love your podcast, we watch them. How do we, mimic some of the things we do? And then we start talking about, how our Youth Leadership Council works, how our LPC works, because I think we do a good job. And anybody that knows me, I like freaking bragging on the good stuff that we do. And we do. New Britain as a whole gets a bum rap about all the negativity, and I want to super highlight all the positive. And this is one of the highlights. And I think our podcast has the ability to go beyond the borders of New Britain. And that's kind of where my focus is. Every time I go out, especially when I went to when I went to Washington for CADCA, I had podcast cards I was handing out. Here, watch this. This is Kid Run. These are our kids, and we've gotten nothing but great feedback from that.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to ask you guys, where do you see this in a year? But I think you guys already answered that.
I mean, it's slowly. I mean, it's never going to be, we're not going to have a bazillion followers or whatever
but we could.
Well,
We're trying to get on there.
I would love. I know we are very successful when we are part of the curriculum in New Britain, where they are stopping, like doing a social studies class or something, and they're putting our podcast as a class.
What if they were on billboards?
And we've been on billboards.
Yeah. I'd love to see it implemented in like a curriculum in like PBS or something, like a online platform where they use it for like
learning,
education.
Yep. So
I think they'll fit right in.
Yeah.
Right?
I think we can get there.
I think so too. That's
and
goals.
Talking about kind of down the future, and I was thinking about this the other day. Now that as we get older as a council, is getting our alumni back and talking about their college experience.
Yeah.
That would be a good episode.
Because Alex is, or I'm sorry, Israel.
I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be there.
Israel's on his way to college, and Daniel's in college, and AJ's in, there's so many of us that are going to college and experiencing other communities and what issues are prevalent in college. So maybe that's another topic.
Yeah.
Hint, hint.
And another thing that I think about too is like, I like to see the impact of the podcast outside of the podcast itself. So like even Daniel, like he's at Yale right now doing public health studies, like for his summer internship, because he wants to be in the public health field, but then he's also working on his own YouTube content. And it was just kind of like him and I were having a conversation, and he was like, oh yeah, it seems more accessible for me to do this. Like we were doing podcasting, and it just made me a little bit more comfortable with like growing myself with the camera work. And that to me is like a success on its own. I don't just look at the impressions or like how many people are listening to this, but them also seeing like you can do this yourself too. You don't need a bunch of fancy tech. You just need to have the time, the grit, and the energy to do some research, find a camera that you really like, save some money up for it, and a microphone, and you can also do that yourself. Like this doesn't just have to be here, but I want to see our students grow and feel comfortable using their voice on platforms like this one, because that's why I love podcasting. It's my favorite thing to do, or one of my favorite things to do in my job, because I just get to listen to you guys talk about what you love to do. And I even remember like on the episode with like you, Daniel, and were you in this one, Alex? Like, there's a couple, but I
I
remember
don't
I was
think I
just
was in
sitting
the one
there,
with
y'all were
Daniel.
yapping, and I was like, wow, this is such a good conversation.
Y'all
Like,
were
this is so
yapping.
awesome.
Yapping.
Yeah. But it was just one of those moments where I sat there and there was just this piece to know, like, wow, they're doing such great work talking about what they feel is important and what is important. And you are making an impact. I hear it all the time. Omar hears it all the time. Mallory hears it all the time. And it's not just within our group, but sometimes even my nieces and nephews will be like, Titi, I saw the podcast on Instagram now this one day. I was
Aw.
like, this is great. I love this. And I don't have to say anything. They're younger, very, very young. So they may not be watching it, but they're interacting with it and they see themselves in you guys, which is awesome.
Yeah. No, that's
It's
definitely dope.
cool to know that we have an impact on littles
Yeah.
and even on adults as well.
Yeah.
Do you think majority of our topics tie back to prevention?
Yes. I feel like for me personally, the way that I see prevention, it's it's a holistic thing. So you look at prevention also being tied to mental health, family stability, academic success or failures, and just overall experiences. Those can all be what we call protective and risk factors, which fall under a parent, child, or youth's like full experience of being a human. And with our podcast, we talk about current events, we talk about your experiences, and they might not directly say like something prevention wise, but they are related to something that a student might be interested in. So we have topics on Pride Month, and we also have topics on religion, we have topics on sports, and we also have topics on academic resilience or clubs. There's something for everybody, and it's wide enough that if a student wants to listen to a specific topic that they can relate to and maybe get some advice on, there's something nice about it. And that's the reason why I always wanted to end our podcast with a piece of advice that you would want to give to somebody else, because in every area, someone might be struggling. They might just be looking for some support. And when someone feels more supported, more seen, more heard, they are less likely to do something that might be risky. And the idea is to make sure that kids feel like they can see themselves and hear themselves within you guys. And that is what prevention is all about. The more we get them involved in something outside of like a home life that might be difficult, the more likely they are to feel more stable on that and connect to it a little bit more, which is prevention. It's to look at the whole child, not just substance use.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Ditto.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really cool to be able to speak on topics that aren't just drugs and alcohol, because not every kid is facing problems with that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we spoke about relationship health, we
Mhm.
spoke about mental health, dealing with schoolwork, dealing with school balance, like school balance with being an athlete
Mhm.
and maybe being a high achieving student.
Mm-hmm.
So just to be able to put that out there and let other people know like we're going through it too, and what's going through our mind and different strategies that we use has just been very cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's not like sugar coated. It's
Yeah.
like it's reality.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's the authenticity of the podcast.
Yeah.
Is it's coming from your mouth. You guys are the ones sitting in classrooms, going through what our viewers are going through. So it's not just Anaida or I that work in City Hall putting, our ideas on you guys. You guys have lived experience, and just like we were saying, every topic that we've done, every guest that we've had is centered around prevention. Like my podcast, when you guys interviewed me, and it was, why are you prevention? What I talked about is everything I do is prevention. So coaching football, when kids are out on the football team and they're practicing or we're getting ready for a game, they're not smoking, they ain't drinking.
Mm-hmm.
At that time. I'm not saying they don't after, but that and the preparation and all that kind of stuff, that's prevention. When Jada's getting ready for band and she's at Tuesday night till 9:30 at night drumming, she ain't smoking. She ain't got time.
Yeah.
And then she's got to go home and get her schoolwork done, and then she's got to get up in the morning and be at school for 7:30. So all these things are prevention. And Israel knows. He's been an athlete for freaking 5-6 years. You don't got time when you're an athlete and you're involved in Ed Rising, which you just came from. When you're involved in stuff, you don't have time to do some of these other things.
Yeah.
And that's kind of my thing is I want kids, and I tell my freshmen now, when you get to the high school, I want you involved in stuff. It doesn't have to be sports. It could be drama. It could be dance. Anything. All this stuff is prevention. So when Mr. Jones was here, he's the CEO of the Boys and Girls Club. He runs a freaking prevention organization because that's what the Boys and Girls Club is. It's a prevention organization. Kids are there doing other things other than smoking, drinking, blah, blah, blah. So I think like you said, it's such a holistic approach to things. You can't say like one little thing is prevention. It's huge. It's everything.
It's like an umbrella.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it all falls under it.
And I'm even thinking back onto like our first pods. Like I was thinking about Amanda talking about like not coming from a very religious family and then going into like becoming like a young Christian student, and just how that was prevention in itself because it gave her a place to go to.
Absolutely.
Like just a place that's like she felt comfortable in. I think about Joey talking about relationships and how he was around the wrong crowd and friendships, and just like the fact that he was around friends that encourage substance use, and like he said that he almost did, and then saying like I didn't though because I kind of found this group and that's like what got me out. And then I even think of like a more recent episode with Giovanni where he's like, he came to us at our meeting to say like, hey, can I be on the pod? Because I want to talk about having used substances and, struggling through that as a teen in high school. So we're not just looking for high achieving students. We're not just looking for the students who are always in clubs. We're looking for your everyday average kids who are just doing their best to live in life, to figure out what it is. And we understand that as adults that life can be very difficult and there's a lot of ups and downs, but we know that it's more important and more impactful to come from someone who's your age and can relate to someone who's in that age range, because you guys are struggling through the same kinds of difficulties. Sometimes with adults telling you it's going to be okay, we've been through this, like, yes, that's comforting, but I know that there have been times where I've gone to my parents and I'm like, I'm really struggling with this. And they're like, it's okay, Anaida, it's going to be fine. I'm like, you're not living in it right now. You just don't understand. And the same thing applies for like me, maybe talking to you or someone who's younger than you guys. Like I might understand what that's like and I had already gone through it, but it's so much more impactful when you're going through it and can still say, you know what? I didn't do this, or I did do this and I messed up and I grew from that, because it just makes that level of trust between each other that much more readily available. And another thing that I think about is you guys always talk about like mentors and people that have impacted your life. And if a kid hears that, or someone that's a younger person hears that and is like, oh yeah, like my mentor can be my older sister, my older brother, like a friend, a coach, they can see that it's not just mom and dad or teacher. Like there's so many more other people that really want them to succeed, or even just an older student, like an older brother, older peer kind of thing. So yeah.
Yeah. It's nice to be a refreshing podcast,
Yeah.
We're definitely refreshing to viewers who come and watch, and oh yeah, they're going through the same things, like you said, we're having the same experiences, we're walking through the same hallways, we're hearing the same drama. So it's nice to be that refreshing, and it's real. It's real. We're normal. We're not like we're nothing crazy. Like we're normal students who are involved. And it's just nice to have that voice.
Yeah. I was even thinking about Kayla. Like she came in, she did a podcast for Prudence Crandall, and then we did our peer-to-peer program, and she was right there. So we used a segment from the podcast, and the kids were able to ask her, our 8th graders were able to ask her the questions that they had because of the podcast. So it's like, these LPC members, these special guests, they're all people that are in New Britain, available to our New Britain students. But once we start bringing other local prevention council members that are from other towns, then maybe somebody else who's listening to it could be like, oh, this is someone that's not even 10 minutes away from me that I could always call up and get the resources from that I need. And that's what we want to show, that we're everyday people, that we want to give you the resources, and we want to make sure that you know of everything that's here to support you and help you, and you're not alone in this process.
Yeah, that's beautiful. On a different note, we know there's a lot that goes behind making the podcast. could we disclose how much it costs to do something like this for other programs, or for other councils that maybe are interested? Or do we
Yeah.
even know?
We know.
No, we
Oh,
do
wow.
know. We know. Should I like say like the amount on it, or kind of give like
Give a ballpark.
ballpark?
Yeah.
Okay. So for 2 episodes, it's anywhere between like, it can be like on the lower end, depending on if you're kind of doing things by yourself. If you're just thinking about like cameras and microphones, like that could just be easily $200. But then we work with the team, so it's between like $300 to $500 for the 2 episodes that we reach out. Yeah. And that also, shout out to our marketing team, because they're great.
Accent creative.
Accent creative. Let's go, Shane, Michaela, and Carol. That's also including like our post, editing, video time. We are working with the team so that they can do that. But if you were to do it by yourself, it's just a matter of time. Are you willing to spend a couple hours every week to make sure that you're cutting, you're pasting, making sure that you have those 30 seconds that you want to put in? There's a lot of work that comes behind it on their end, and that doesn't even include our end where we're doing the planning process of it, the getting here, using the office space. Like, it's, you pay for the product that you would like to see. So it is a good investment to make when you're willing to take the time aside to do so. But luckily we have a sponsor for the year. So, and that's the Community Foundation of Greater New Britain. Shout out to them. So we actually don't have to worry about the cost for it right now. We just have to worry about making the content happen, flow, and then getting some sponsors in.
It's like being passionate with it and like dedicated.
Yeah.
And you can do a podcast on anything. I've thought about doing one just for freaking
Football?
high school football.
How did I
That
know?
would be-
I know.
We
That would
should.
be a
Let me tell you, it's crossed my mind, just like, and having all my New Britain High gear in the background and just talking how
We
we're
should have some
how
football
the Britain
players,
High
Lee
and
Jackson.
and
You
our
probably have a lot too.
and our
Mhm.
band is, I'd like have like band like Mr. Carlin come in, talk to him.
Ooh, he's so nonchalant.
But
That would
yeah,
actually be
wouldn't that
really cool.
Yeah. So I mean, anyone could podcast, I
Mhm.
think, but like Anaida said, you have to have the passion to do it and a lot of time, because I've dabbled in video editing, just doing like highlight DVDs and stuff like that
Mhm.
in the past, and it takes me a lot of time because I
Yeah.
have to do a lot of other stuff. I work and coach and all that other stuff, so it takes time. So you
Yeah.
really have to be dedicated to doing it. But it's a lot of fun.
Mm.
I mean, and I think Shane behind the cameras can tell you he has a blast doing this kind of stuff.
Hopefully he does, because we be using him every
Yes,
week.
we do. Yes, we do. You know, he's sick of us.
We have a dedicated space because we're here all the time.
Yep.
So
Right.
let's just say how much we're already in the office
Yeah.
and here.
And it improved a lot too.
Yeah,
I know.
got the neon sign
I know,
now.
the
Right?
sign.
Sign.
Well, I
We
think-
I hope we
changed
have
our
people- I hope we have
couches
people to
around.
these
Like the
days.
set is different.
Mhm.
And we're looking to grow more.
Right. Always room for improvement, like you said.
Yeah.
Wow, I don't know. I feel like you guys covered a lot.
Yeah. You guys pretty much covered everything we got for
Cool.
you. Well, we're gonna end with the advice, right?
Yeah. I was actually, before we get there, because this is our 1-year episode, I wanted to ask you guys,
Uh-oh.
what has been your favorite pod episode to do, or just your favorite experience podcasting as a youth?
I know mine. My favorite podcast was the Prudence Crandall one.
Really?
Yeah. It was just so insightful. It was especially during the time that like I did the podcast, I definitely needed to hear certain things. Like the questions I was asking her were definitely personal questions that
Mhm.
I kind of was like picking at. So just to hear from like an expert about relational health and teen abuse and violence and stuff like that, it was nice to hear information that I could trust
Mhm.
and understand that this is like what's right and what's wrong. Because
Mm.
a lot of stuff, especially in high school, a lot of behaviors are normalized
Mhm.
that are really not. They're normal, but they're not right.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
just to hear what's right and what is manipulation and what's not, it was definitely educational and a great experience. That was my favorite.
Nice.
Okay.
Mine would probably be The Rest for spring break with Hannah and Jackson.
Mm.
That was a good one.
Because we were able to like, talk about different ways we rest and everything. And everybody has a different way. Like Jackson said his was like being around family or playing football. Hannah was softball. Mine's was just sleep. But like it helps, like there's different ways for it, but it helps everybody like
Reset.
Yeah. And like we talked about like our moms being a big part of it too, and that like tied together nicely. And then we were also like being silly. So it all like connected in a way. So it was a really easy podcast to do.
Nice. Thank
Do
you
you guys have a favorite
Oh, yeah.
podcast video?
That you listen to or
Obviously,
watch?
I have one.
Is it yours?
Heck yeah. Heck yeah.
You just like
I-
admire
so-
yourself. Like,
no, it
oh,
wasn't
this-
even about
this
me
was
really,
me.
but when it came out, like I posted the link on Facebook and on my Facebook page, and I got literally within like, I don't know, 5-6 hours, I had like 183 likes and whatever.
I remember
And
that.
it's not about that, but
Famous.
the comments, the people are like, very positive, and they know I speak from experience, and they know I speak from my heart about the work I do with kids, and I'm passionate about, the stuff I'm talking about. And it kind of rang home with them, and it just opened up our podcast to that many more viewers. So, and I mean, and it was great questions, and obviously it was, I was the focus of it, but that was my favorite. And I tell you right now, I like the religion one because that kind of rang for me. I'm a religious person, and I grew up very, very religious. So that one I listened to that in its entirety, and I actually listened to it twice. That was pretty impactful for me because just what I was going through as a kid dealing with the religion is in some ways similar and in some ways different. It's just the times are different. So it was pretty impactful. Anaida?
So I obviously have been behind the camera with you guys for all the episodes, and then I've listened to them at least twice to edit them and send my like input. And I would say like filming wise, so I was in the Pride episode, I was in the religion episode that Omar was talking about, and I'm in this one. And I think this one has been my favorite out of the three to be in because I get to reflect on everything that we've done as a group for the past year. And I'm an emotional person. So I was sitting here, I was like, I'm not going to cry over this, but I'm just so proud of you guys. And I'm so proud of the podcast itself and how much we've gone, like how far we've gone. I think with all of the episodes, there's something unique about them that I truly just have been so blessed to be able to see and to witness or to be in the forming process of it. So this one would definitely be my favorite. I know this one's gonna be sitting back looking at it in my office like, oh, this is so cute. I love this. And then two of my favorite ones that I've watched and been there was the one where AJ fell asleep and then we had to cut. That's gonna be on the bloopers. But that one was so funny.
Like that. He literally was
No,
slouched
sir.
like this. And Anaida had to like
we had
cut.
to cut in
and
the
was like-
episode, and I'd be
Wait,
like,
I
AJ,
didn't
what is
know
going
about
on?
And it
that.
was so
Did not
funny
know that
because
one.
I
Ali
think
and
it was
him were
me.
matching
Yes,
too.
they were
They
matching.
were slumped like this.
They were both.
It was so funny.
So I
They were
think
both
it was
slumped?
the
Yeah.
couch
I
was
would've
here.
been
So me and Daniel
heated
are
if I
sitting.
were in my podcast.
Yeah, we were talking about sports, I think. And we were literally here, me and Daniel, and then the boys were here. They were matching like head to toe, like the beats and everything.
Yeah,
And-
like they were twinning, and they was not on purpose. Like
Yeah,
it was
it
the
d-
funniest thing. And if you go back to that episode, you'll notice that it cuts 15 minutes in, and then out of nowhere you see AJ sitting upright, and I had to be like, "Yo, do we need to stop? Do we need to switch
Yeah.
somebody out?"
It was so funny.
At the moment, I
No,
was like,
that's terrible.
heck no, what is going
Yeah,
on?
like-
But looking back on it now, it's like the most hilarious thing because it basically like that podcast was like maybe our third or fourth one that we ever did. And it catapulted like the rest of our podcast because we had a meeting after that and we basically were like, so this is what you don't do in podcasts, this is what you do in podcasts. So then the whole team that was there, you guys were there during that meeting, when we were looking at the pod episodes, we're like, okay, we know what to look like, we don't know, and Age has done so much better, so it's great. So there's that one. And then our very first pod, like it was the very first time that I was directing a pod, and I just like was like, wow, like I can do this, they can do this, we can do this. Like it's scary, but it's really fun. And
Yeah,
I
no,
think we just
scary.
really
That was definitely
grown.
scary.
It was scary. Yeah.
It was like I was just sitting there, I was like,
I was like, oh,
imposter syndrome was real there for a second, but then like seeing it, just going from that first pod episode to now, and then looking back at everything, we're like, wow, we've really been doing that. Like we've been doing that we've been getting recognition for it, not just like words, but we can actually like we have tangible proof of it because we have sponsors that want to partner up with us now.
I think it's scary initially for everybody. Our newer youth leadership kids, the 8th graders that are going into 9th grade, they've gotten a taste of it too. And when we, put them on the list to do podcasts, they've all been kind of apprehensive a little bit about being in front of the camera. But once you're here, this is such a comfortable, chill, relaxing vibe that you just forget this is in front of you. And you're just like, you're just talking.
Yeah.
So, and they experience that. And everybody has said that. Like, I've asked, how'd your podcast go? And they're like, I was nervous at first, but, once we got going, I was just talking. So I think Anaida, the way things are set up and being around you guys, it makes it real chill. So.
Well, we wouldn't be able to do this podcast without both of you guys. So
definitely
got to give props to
Anaida.
Coach O and Anaida.
No, you're important too.
I know,
you do
but
this.
you know what? Anaida is, when she came along, she, we kind of me and Mallory kind of had ideas about, pushing youth leadership further. And then Anaida just came along at the perfect time with her expertise, and like it was a home run.
Serendipitous.
And you could ask Daniel, who was on the interview thing with us. As soon as Anaida came through the door, we're like, and me and Daniel were like, do we have to continue interviewing? I'm like, yeah, we do. But we knew immediately. I knew when I looked at her resume, that's kind of what we were looking for. And just to, I think Anaida has done an excellent job kind of pushing us to that next level. And I think it's nowhere but up after this. I think our podcasts are going to be really good. And dealing with kids, there's a bazillion different issues facing kids today. So we're never going to have a shortage of topics to talk about.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Thank you, Omar.
Anaida makes things happen.
She does.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that, guys.
It's your bright ideas. You're very bubbly, so it's so nice. Like
little me.
Little me.
Yeah.
Don't get Anaida crying.
No, it's true. It's true, and like it's also nice. Like when you would be there and you just listen, and like you could turn and see, and it's like it's just like like keep going, guys. Like you guys are doing.
I
good.
really do be hyping y'all up. I'm like,
yeah. She's like, yeah, like
can't say nothing, but I'm like, yeah, it's. I'd be laughing too, and then I'm like having to cover my face because I like don't want no one to hear me. I think there was one time I just started laughing because someone said a joke.
Yeah, and then it just
and we all started laughing after.
Cut.
Cut.
Now the early podcast with Joey, oh my gosh, we stopped like 4 or 5
times. Joey is just he loves to talk. It's great. It's like, but he came out of his element too.
But you know
that
what?
was one of the things.
That's another thing.
Yeah.
I mean, podcasts. Look what and you know Joey. Joey wasn't that much of a talker during regular meetings or being out and doing presentations. That's not his thing. Once he got here, you couldn't shut him up.
Yeah.
He found his niche, and that was podcasting.
And I remember I told him, because you were in the room that time to watch it, so I was like, Joey was talking so much, and he's like,
no way.
No.
So when I saw it, I'm like, holy cow. Joey, shut up.
Yeah, it's crazy because me and Malia yesterday with the summer youth kids, we played some of the podcasts, and we played the one where Joey was talking, and it was just, we were just like, dang, like Joey's like,
that's his thing.
That's his thing.
Yeah.
Like, that's
definitely considered a podcast.
Yeah, he was not like that.
yeah. We need Joey. He gets our viewers up.
The pizzazz.
Joey's got aura.
Aura.
Joey's got
He's got aura. That's funny.
That is funny.
Shout out to Joey.
Shout out Joey.
All right. Anything else?
Yeah.
We good?
Do you want to end it with the advice?
Piece of advice? Yeah. You guys can go first.
I have some advice.
Okay,
go, Omar.
Yes,
so
coach.
this is for other coalitions that want to do what we do and don't have a budget like we do, because we are blessed to have certain monies that are allocated to do this kind of stuff. And we have obviously great kids, but other coalitions have great kids also. So like we've been talking about, all you need is a passion to do it and some time and a camera, and you can do something like this too. It's not so much about the production, but it's about the kids talking and their experience. That's what you want. And I think there's kids all over the place that are willing to sit down and get stuff off their chest about things that they've witnessed, things they see, things that they do. They would love to share. So there's an audience for all of that. So, get in on the podcasting. Kids love it. Adults love it. It's a great mode of getting the word of prevention out.
Yeah. I would say my piece of advice, we talked about it earlier, how prevention is really a universal topic. I would say as a youth, to be prevention, just be involved. Get involved in different organizations, different sports, different clubs that is in your town or in your area. And that in itself would just set you up with like-minded people and just set you on the right path. Yeah.
Well, adding on to Coach and Alex, I think my piece of advice would be, don't let anything stop you from doing what you want to do. Like Coach O said, podcasting could be about anything. You can talk about anything, and there's an audience that's willing to listen and hear you talk about what you need to talk about, whether that's sugar-coated or not. There's people out there, like Anaida said, that are like struggling within, and if they could hear it from someone their age or around that, or even older, it can help them in many ways. So
I'm gonna shout out the Community Foundation of Greater New Britain again, because they were talking about in our philanthropy episode that is released. She was talking to us, or the students, about just how anybody could be a philanthropist, and philanthropists are like, what they do is connect somebody who somebody who cares about a specific topic with an organization that they might be able to partner up with. And really, like, again, what Omar was saying, sometimes you don't always have the budget to do things, so you have to find creative ways to do that. And that's what I did. I found a grant. It wasn't even really a grant. It was just, there was an opportunity for a project. I put in the grant application for it, and I requested to have funding for these podcasts so that we can spend a year really working on it. And my, I guess, caveat advice to that would be to not be afraid to have some quirky episodes to begin with. Like, we definitely started off with a couple episodes that are a little questionable, and that's okay. I think we've grown so much since that first episode because we've gotten more comfortable, and we have a little bit of that cushion, but now we can spend that time to perfect those episodes and really make those connections with the sponsors. But if you connect with enough people, and there are always people that are willing to help, and maybe that's just in a little way, but that little way can go a long way when you have multiple of them there to help you. And always, you can just start off with that camera and that microphone and just a little room in your LPC room, if that's what you have, and get a conversation going.
Yep.
Yeah, that's it.
yeah, I think that's it. Yeah.
I think we can wave to the cameras now.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching.